Ethan had always been fascinated by the unknown. On Earth, he spent his days reading about distant planets, alien species, and the countless wonders of the universe. But fascination alone was not enough. When he finally saved enough credits, he booked a trip to Virelia, a remote trade colony famous for its intergalactic marketplace. He wanted to see the stars' secrets with his own eyes, touch strange artifacts, and maybe, just maybe, find something extraordinary. The market sprawled across a giant floating platform, suspended high above a glowing green river that pulsed with bioluminescent life. Stalls lined the platform like colorful patches on a quilt. Merchants from hundreds of species shouted their wares in every imaginable language. Machines hummed and whirred, some floating freely, others dragging carts of exotic goods. The air smelled of spices, metal, and ozone. Ethan's heart raced with excitement. He walked slowly, absorbing everything. There were tables stacked with shimmering crystals that seemed to hum with energy. Tiny robotic creatures crawled among the crowd, selling small trinkets and snacks. There were foods he couldn't recognize, fabrics that changed colors with the touch, and even small alien pets that chirped or squealed in curious ways. Everywhere he looked, the market pulsed with life, and Ethan felt like he had stepped into a dream. Then, in a quieter corner of the market, he noticed a small stall that seemed almost forgotten. Unlike the flashy high-tech displays nearby, this one was simple. A thin alien merchant sat behind a wooden counter. On the counter were a few curious objects: a carved box that looked like it belonged in a museum, a small metallic cube that shifted shapes slightly, and among them, a simple ring. The ring was silver, unassuming and smooth. It had no gems or carvings. For some reason, it drew Ethan's attention more than anything else. The merchant's eyes were large and almond-shaped, shimmering with a faint gold hue. He noticed Ethan staring. "Ah," he said, his voice soft but musical. "You have the eyes of a seeker." Ethan smiled. "It's a beautiful ring. How much?" 10 credits, the merchant said. A fair price for something. Unusual. Ethan hesitated. The ring seemed almost ordinary, yet he felt compelled to buy it. Maybe it was the simplicity that attracted him. He handed over the credits, and the merchant placed the ring in a small velvet box. "Wear it with care," he said. "It chooses its wearer, but it does not speak." Ethan chuckled. "I'll keep that in mind." Back in his hotel room, he opened the box. The ring felt surprisingly heavy in his hand. He slid it onto his finger. The metal was cool against his skin, smooth and comforting. That night, as he lay in bed, he dreamed. It started as a normal dream. He was walking through a forest unlike any he had seen, with tall, twisting trees that glowed faintly in soft blues and purples. Strange creatures watched him from the shadows, their eyes reflecting the light. Then he heard a voice, a gentle, melodic voice that called his name. "Ethan." He looked around, but no one was there. The voice continued, more insistent, filling his mind. "You have been chosen." He woke up in a sweat, his heart racing. The ring on his finger glinted in the morning sun. He shook his head. "It's just a dream," he muttered. But over the next few days, the dreams continued. Every time he wore the ring, the dreams grew more vivid. He saw cities floating above oceans, deserts made of crystal, and people with skin of shimmering colors walking gracefully in the air. He began to hear words he didn't understand, spoken softly as if someone was trying to communicate directly into his mind. On the third day, as he walked through another part of the market, he felt a presence. It was sudden, like a gust of wind that carried a strange energy. He turned and saw her, an alien woman standing at the edge of the crowd. She was tall, graceful, with smooth, pale lavender skin. Her eyes were deep violet, and they locked onto his instantly. She seemed to glow in the sunlight, though he knew it was only the reflection from her flowing garments. When she saw the ring on his finger, her eyes widened, and she gasped softly. She stepped forward, almost hesitantly. Ethan froze. "You," she said in her language, words rolling melodically. Ethan had no idea what she was saying. I don't understand," he said slowly, holding up the ring. The alien's expression shifted from shock to awe. She looked around nervously as if expecting someone else to appear, then returned her gaze to him. "It is real," she whispered. Ethan frowned. "What is real?" She reached out a hand but then hesitated. "The bond." "It is yours. You cannot take it off. You are mine now." Ethan blinked, taken aback. "Wait, what?" "I didn't," she interrupted gently but firmly. "It chooses. It cannot be denied." The ring has chosen you as my partner. In our law, in our hearts, it is complete. He felt a strange pull in his chest. Something about her words stirred a deep, unfamiliar sensation. Fear, curiosity, and excitement all mingled together. I didn't know. I didn't choose this, he said. I know, she replied, her voice softening. But the bond is ancient. You have it now. You must come with me. There are things you must understand. Confused and hesitant, Ethan followed her. She led him to a sleek, silver ship docked at the edge of the platform. Inside, the walls glowed faintly, and the controls shimmered with colors he had never seen before. As the ship lifted off, Ethan watched the market shrink below him. He felt a mix of fear and anticipation. During the journey, the alien, who introduced herself as Lyra, explained what she could in broken basic, the universal trade language. She told him that the ring was a marriage bond in her culture, a symbol of spiritual and social connection. Those who wore it were bound in partnership, not just emotionally but politically. It was rare for humans to wear such a ring, even rarer for it to activate immediately. Ethan tried to grasp the implications. He had thought he was buying a souvenir. Now he was traveling to an alien planet, bound by a tradition he didn't understand. His mind raced. Could he refuse? Would they allow him to? Would she? As the ship glided silently through the stars, he began to notice something else. The connection wasn't just symbolic. Every thought he had seemed to echo faintly in his mind. Sometimes he felt her emotions before she spoke them. Curiosity, worry, hope. It was disorienting, but also strangely comforting. When they finally arrived on her planet, Ethan could hardly believe his eyes. The city was enormous, sprawling over hills and valleys with towers that twisted toward the sky. Bridges of light connected buildings and rivers of glowing liquid flowed through the streets. Flying vehicles zipped through the air, moving as gracefully as birds. He had seen pictures of alien worlds before, but nothing prepared him for this reality. Lyra led him through the streets, and people turned to look at him. Some bowed, some whispered, and others stared in awe. The ring shone faintly, and Ethan realized that its glow must be visible to them. The bond was not only spiritual, but also visible to those around him. As they reached a grand building, Lyra paused. Inside you will learn everything, she said. About the bond, our laws, our expectations. You must understand, Ethan, this is not a game. It is a responsibility. He nodded, swallowing hard. I want to understand. Lyra smiled softly, placing her hand lightly over his. It sent a shiver down his spine. Good. That is the first step. You will learn that this bond is not just a chain, but a bridge. It can bring strength, unity, and maybe something even more. Ethan looked around at the alien world, the people, and the vast sky above. He realized that his life had changed in an instant. A simple ring, bought without thought, had altered his destiny forever. Fear mingled with excitement, and a small spark of wonder grew in his chest. He didn't know what the future held, but for the first time he felt truly alive. As they entered the grand hall, Lyra turned to him. Prepare yourself. What you see here will challenge everything you know. But do not be afraid. You are not alone. Ethan nodded, gripping the ring tightly. He had no idea what awaited him inside, but he was ready to face it. Whatever this bond meant, whatever it demanded, he would meet it with courage. After all, he had always wanted the unknown, and now it had found him. And with that thought, he stepped forward. The weight of the ring on his finger, a constant reminder that a simple choice had changed everything. Ethan stepped through the enormous doors of the grand hall and paused. The space inside was breathtaking. Towering ceilings arched far above him, reflecting soft golden light that made the room shimmer. The floor was smooth and polished, but it seemed almost alive, as if it shifted gently underfoot. Along the walls, intricate patterns glowed faintly, depicting the history of Lyra's people. Great cities rising from mountains, ships gliding through alien skies, and bonds of unity that linked individuals together. Lyra guided him toward a platform at the center of the hall. Other aliens were already there, observing him. Their eyes were filled with curiosity, and some whispered among themselves. Ethan felt a pang of nervousness. He had expected to learn about the bond, but he had not expected an audience. This is our council, Lyra said softly. They will explain the responsibilities of the bond, but more importantly, they will help you understand its meaning. Ethan swallowed and nodded. He tried to remember what he had read about diplomacy and respect, but nothing could have prepared him for this. The aliens regarded him silently, their posture formal but not unfriendly. He could feel the subtle pull of the ring again, as if it was quietly urging him to be calm, to open his mind. An elder alien stepped forward. She was taller than Lyra, and wore robes that shifted colors as she moved. Her skin was a pale silver, and her eyes were like polished amethyst. "Ethan," she said in carefully chosen basic, "you carry a bond not only of love but of trust and honor. You may not yet understand the depth, but your choices will shape not just your life but the lives of many. The ring has chosen you, and it has not chosen lightly." Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of awe and fear. I didn't choose this. I bought the ring as a gift to myself," he admitted. "I didn't even know it could do this." The elder smiled gently. "Sometimes what we think is simple can be extraordinary. What you hold is a bridge. It connects you to Lyra in ways that go beyond understanding. You will learn if you are willing." Lyra placed a hand lightly on Ethan's arm. Her touch was firm but gentle, and he felt a strange warmth radiate through him. "I will teach you," she said, "and you will teach me. This bond is not just law. It is a living connection. It grows through shared experiences, trust, and courage." Ethan looked around the hall at the council, at Lyra, and at the glowing ring on his finger. He realized that his adventure was no longer about curiosity. It was about choice. He could resist, but he already felt part of something larger. With a deep breath, he said, "I want to understand. I want to do this." "Right." The elder inclined her head. "Then the lessons will begin." Over the next days, Ethan was immersed in Lyra's culture. He learned about her people's values, honor, unity, and the delicate balance between freedom and responsibility. He saw how the bond affected every relationship, families, partnerships, and leaders alike. The bond was not simply symbolic. It influenced emotions, decisions, and even intuition. A bonded pair could feel each other's joy, fear, and resolve. At first, Ethan struggled. He had to adjust to the constant awareness of Lyra's presence. Her emotions were subtle at first, an undercurrent he felt in his chest, but gradually, he began to sense more. Worry when he hesitated, relief when he succeeded, and something deeper that he could not yet name. Lyra noticed his struggle and guided him gently. "Do not force it," she said one evening as they walked through a garden that floated in midair. Flowers glowed softly beneath their feet, and small creatures skimmed through the air like ribbons of light. "The bond is not a chain. It is a path. Let it grow naturally." Ethan nodded, feeling both humbled and reassured. He realized that this was unlike anything he had experienced. On Earth, relationships were fragile and often fleeting. Here, the connection was strong, anchored in respect, understanding, and shared purpose. He began to see why the ring had chosen him. One day, a crisis arose that would test the bond. A shipment of essential resources to the city had been sabotaged by a rival faction. The council was in turmoil. Lyra's people relied on these supplies for food, energy, and medicine. Without them, the city would face hardship, perhaps disaster. Lyra turned to Ethan. "We need your help," she said. "Humans think differently. You may see a solution we cannot." Ethan's mind raced. He studied the maps, the supply routes, and the security systems. Slowly, he devised a plan that combined human ingenuity with alien technology. It was risky, but it was feasible. They moved quickly, navigating through the city's glowing streets and using Lyra's flying vehicles. Ethan coordinated with local workers and defense drones, improvising when unexpected obstacles arose. He felt Lyra's presence beside him, a steady reassurance that strengthened his resolve. When he made a decision, he sensed her trust, and when she acted, he knew her instincts. Together they worked seamlessly, as though the bond guided them both. By nightfall, the crisis was averted. Supplies were secure, and the city's people celebrated their success. Ethan felt exhausted but exhilarated. He had never experienced such a sense of accomplishment. Lyra smiled at him, her eyes reflecting pride and something deeper, admiration, perhaps even affection. "Ethan," she said softly, "you have proven yourself not only to me, but to our people. The bond is stronger now because we faced this together. You are learning the true meaning of it." Ethan smiled, feeling the connection deepen. "I never thought a simple ring could lead to this," he admitted. "I thought it was just a trinket. I didn't realize it could change everything." Lyra reached for his hand, and for the first time he felt the full weight of the bond. It was not heavy like a chain. It was warm, comforting, and alive. He realized that he cared for her, not because the ring demanded it, but because he had chosen to. Over the following weeks, Ethan and Lyra continued to grow closer. He learned to anticipate her needs, understand her emotions, and respond in ways that strengthened the bond. In turn, she learned to appreciate his human perspective, his creativity, courage, and willingness to question assumptions. Their partnership became a blend of two worlds, human and alien, united through respect and understanding. The council observed the progression with approval. Ethan's presence had not disrupted their society. Instead, it had brought new ideas, new solutions, and a new perspective. The bond, once mysterious and intimidating, became a bridge between cultures. Ethan felt a sense of purpose he had never known. He was no longer just a visitor. He was part of something larger, something meaningful. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the city, Lyra led Ethan to a high terrace overlooking the glowing landscape. The air shimmered with the reflection of the moons on the rivers below. They stood in silence, watching the city, feeling the bond that connected them. "You have adapted well," Lyra said. "I did not expect you to understand so quickly." Ethan chuckled. "I had a good teacher," he replied. "And I had to. I couldn't let the bond fail. Not when it feels like this." Lyra's gaze softened. "It is not just the bond, it is you. You chose to embrace it. That choice matters more than anything." For the first time, Ethan understood the depth of what had happened. The ring, simple and unassuming, had brought him here. It had not forced him, but it had opened a door to something extraordinary. And by walking through that door, he had chosen to grow, to learn, and to care. He reached for her hand, and the warmth of the bond spread through him, steady and strong. "I never thought a small ring could change my life," he said quietly. "But it has, and I am grateful for everything it has shown me." Lyra smiled, resting her hand in his. "Then the bond is complete," she said. "Not because of law or tradition, but because of understanding, respect, and choice. You have become my partner, Ethan, in every way that matters." The twin moons reflected in their eyes as they stood together, two beings from different worlds, bound by something far greater than either could have imagined. The city below glowed softly, alive with the energy of countless lives, and Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. The ring on his finger was no longer a simple trinket. It was a symbol of courage, connection, and the bridge between humanity and a world he had only begun to understand. And as he looked at Lyra, he realized that the universe, in all its vastness, had found a way to show him something he had been searching for all along. That sometimes, the smallest choices can lead to the most extraordinary adventures. And in that moment, Ethan embraced his new life fully, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them, not alone but with a bond that transcended worlds.